members, I think our 30 minutes are getting finished. So we can try to reorganize ourselves and resume our discussions, please. Can increase some speed.
As we enjoy our tea, I'm requesting if any of the schools is ready to entertain or to make a presentation, please you can notify me, and then you take advantage of this break time. The school patrons, please, school is ready, you can notify me, and then I give you this platform. Any of the schools that is ready? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg for your attention as you take your tea. In the interest of time, I've requested these schools have prepared some presentations, so let's save this time instead of only taking tea alone, but we can also be listening to these schools as they deliver their presentations. With me here, I have Evelyn from Kahinju Primary School. She's going to deliver a poem. Please kindly give her your attention.
My name is Msimenta Evelyn from Kahinju Primary School. I'm here to recite a poem about the battle against junk foods, winning war on malnutrition. War on malnutrition, the army of healthy foods led by General Holguin into the battle with the forces of junk foods commanded by General Sugar. The battlefield, the plateau of nutrition, the world's fate will be decided. The health foods divided into brigades. Fresh fruit brigade with vibrant color of juicy sweetness. Leafy green brigade with iron defenses and rich in nutrient armor. Protein power brigade with lean and mean fighting machines. Whole grain brigade with fiber, strong food and slow burning energy. The junk foods army of sugary snacks battalion with quick but empty calories. The processed meat arrangement with salty and fatty arsenal. Refined carbs division with white and empty carbohydrates. Battled on with dosage trading balls, but the healthy foods army had a secret weapon. Ability to work together and support each other. Fresh fruit brigade, a burst of energy and flavor. Green brigade offered a shield against junk foods attacks. Protein Power Brigade built strong and lean muscles. Whole Grain Brigade provided a burst of fiber. A combined effort and resilience. Health Foods Army exhibited to win malnutrition. Consuming too much comes with a lot of negative effects, like weight gain and obesity due to high calories, increased risk of chronic diseases, nutrient imbalances in the body, and digestive issues. Nutritious foods help in weight management and boost energy, promote health digestion, support mental health, transit glowing skin and hair, and nourishes the whole body. Educationalists, the clergy, NGOs create awareness of the benefits of nutritious foods in the public. Be exemplary. Make healthier choices of meals to prevent malnutrition for God and my country.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I don't know whether in such a platform where people cannot give out some money to such wonderful presenters. So that was a very wonderful poem from Kahinji Primary School. And Nyakagongo, are we ready? Okay, let's have Nyakagongo to make also their presentation in 3 minutes. Those that have finished their tea, please, you come in and we proceed because we really want to save time. Colleagues outside there who have finished their tea, please, or your tea, you come inside and we proceed. Okay. Let's welcome Kenyange Florence from Nyakagongo Primary School to give us her presentation.
My name is Kenyange Florence from Nyakagongo Primary School. I'm here to present the poem about vitamins. Vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. Protective and healthy giving foods. Protecting and defending the body from diseases. Vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. Getting me is easy. I am available from different sources in fruits, green vegetables, and from the sun. Vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. Letters of alphabets give me my descriptions. In vitamin A, B, C, D, E, and K. Vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. I am a doctor for the body's good health. Vitamin A for good eyesight. Vitamin B for good nerves. Vitamin C for strong, healthy gums and skin. Vitamin B for strong bones and teeth. Vitamins, vitamins, vitamins. I am a warrior to fight diseases. Night blindness, scurvy, beriberi, infertility, and poor blood clots. Keep the body immune and healthy for God and my country.
Thank you so much. So the last school is St. Peter and Paul's. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll make my comment later. Let me invite my daughter here. She's going to make a speech, and then afterwards, her colleague is going to make a poem. I request them to use the shortest time possible. 2 minutes each of you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Atoe Claire from St. Peter's and Paul Primary School. with a speech entitled The Battle of Junk Food versus Healthy Snacks. I would like to convey my sincere appreciation to Jesse and other partners who have endeavored to organize this vital and productive activity, which intend to spearhead the campaign of promoting good nutrition and lifestyle for good health. Junk foods attract children simply because most of them are sweet, delicious, and nice looking. Secondly, they are easy to consume. That is to say, others are already prepared in factories. Thirdly, they come with gifts that attract children to eat. Like this one, it is from a Kick Snack Pack. It has a gift, and all children like it because they come with gifts. I would like to inform the House today that ignorance on food and nutrition is not only for uneducated people but also educated ones. Embracing junk food has become a health problem in Uganda today. Examples of junk foods are biscuits, snacks, sweets, and many others. And these junk foods cause non-communicable diseases that are a threat to our lives. People are being referred to India and other countries abroad for further treatment, which is difficult. The non-communicable diseases are diabetes, obesity, hypertension, and many others. I would like to educate and appeal to all Ugandans that we should go back to our traditional ways of preparing food, e.g., steaming, boiling, roasting, and many others. And I urge you parents to pack for children food and healthy snacks like bananas and many others, so as to prevent non-communicable diseases in Uganda today. For God and my country, thank you.
Thank you so much for that brilliant presentation. Let me invite the one giving a poem to do it in 2 minutes. Meanwhile, colleagues who have finished tea, please, you get waiting for you. Before I give her the microphone, please, allow me again recognize the protocol, because we have some people who have joined in after we had already recognized this protocol, but I'll do it again. With us, we have the commissioner of, in charge of crop at MAIF. We have the focal person from MAIF. We have district leaders. The district we have a representative of the district of the chairperson for Chinchiro. Then we have the academia represented by University. We welcome the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academics, Professor John Masa Kasenene, in the house. We have leaders led by a representative of the Bishop of Rwenzori Diocese. Welcome, Reverend. Partners, both international and the partners as well. We have IDP, or IELTS Deploy, Broadblick Delin, Integrated Sector Development, Care Uganda, Pella Uganda, then the local partners, including KRC Uganda, AID, COSIL, I'll be mentioning the others as we proceed. So we welcome you all and we recognize your presence and we appreciate your participation in this annual Indigenous Seed and Food Fair. Okay, Kahinju, you wanted to make another presentation, but maybe later because of time. These ones had already gotten a chance to have 2 people, but for the other schools, we had given them only 1 slot. So maybe if we have time, we shall allow Kahinju to also give their speech. Allow me to invite my daughter here to give a poem.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kemgi Samatha from St. Peter and Paul on stage, reciting a poem entitled The Battle Against Junk Food. Easy to buy, prepare and eat, but not good to our health. Well packed, smelling good, very attractive, no essential nutrients for our bodies. Really, it's too much. Ugandans, my fellow peoples, I know it's modernity, but think about how these junk foods affect the proper functioning of our bodies. Obesity, tooth diseases and disorders, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancers, all these are the dangerous effects of junk food. The battle against junk food. No essential nutrients for our bodies, no mineral salts for our brains. Oh, Ugandans, let's open our eyes, ears, and brains to go back to the ancient ways of preparing food. So let's all work together to make healthy choices for our meals to eat. Thank you.
So the children are moving a campaign against junk food, but unfortunately that's what most of the parents pack for their children when they are going to school on a daily. So that's a very important message to the parents here, and you can also push that message to the parents out there. Let us pack healthy food. Gotten a message from the keynote speaker. Was delivered by Mr. Clark. I have walked in person. I'm going to invite him to make comments or brief remarks, and then after that, I'll invite the commissioner to also make his remarks. Then we shall have the presentations in a row, and then the discussions will happen after the presentation to save time. So we have adjusted the program such that we can save the time since we started a bit late. Meanwhile, also to recognize those that joined us a bit later, we are joined by Boram, Professor John Massa Kasenene, the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academics, Mountains of the Moon University, to give his remarks in line to the theme of unlocking the potential of indigenous seeds and foods in strengthening the agri-food system of the Rwenzori region. You're welcome, Professor.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm sorry, first of all, to come late. I was supposed to be here actually with my brother Clovis Kabaseke. We had proposed to give a joint keynote address so that the audience compares between the two and tell us what is what or which is the way forward. However, first of all, I want to write on the protocol. The MC has already given, but I would wish to recognize amongst us the Assistant Commissioner in charge of crops, who is actually in charge of crops, Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries, who is also the guest of honor. Most welcome. We have in our midst Honorable Richard Rabuhinga Aboki, who is our Chairman, Council 5, Kabarole District Local Government. Then my good friend, the Executive Director, JSC, Patrick Baguma Atenyi. Thank you for inviting me also. All invited participants, scientists here assembled, and our members of the community that we have promised to serve. Most welcome to this very important meeting talking about seeds and indigenous foods. A very important meeting indeed. Actually, we were planning to present this keynote. We kind of prepared it in such a way that Dr. Clovis Kabaseke would present what is written. And me, since I'm older than him, I'll present the history of indigenous food and seeds, at least in the region that I know very well, and it also touches Uganda for that matter. So by way of introduction, I feel privileged to address you all today at the Regional Indigenous Seed and Food Fair. This gathering represents not only a celebration of our agricultural heritage, but also a commitment to sustainable future of our communities in the Toro Rwenzori region. At your Mountains of the Moon University, we strive to uphold the meaning of our vision of being a center of excellence in teaching, research, and community engagement for sustainable development. So today, we focus on a very pregnant theme of unlocking, it's right there, of unlocking the potential of indigenous seed and food for strengthening agri-food systems for the Rwenzori region. I want you to permit me begin my presentation to this assembly of environmental stakeholders with the definition of the term we call conservation of natural resources. This term is commonly used by many people in many forums, but we sometimes don't take care to think deeply of its meaning. Conservation of natural resources. Foods and seeds are natural resources, but they need first and foremost to be conserved. By who? Not by primates. Yes, maybe this is special Homo sapiens, which is also, but by people, human beings like you. Because you have been given authority and power to manage these things, even biblically. I'm not going to quote those things in the Bible because I could make a mistake. I understand there are reverends here. I don't want to dare. The word conservation, in its widest sense, can simply be defined as, you listen carefully, as the wise, regulated, wise, you have to be wise to understand conservation, to practice conservation. Regulated, we have to do things regulatedly, not extravagantly, right? Sustainable, yes. Although we do things today like food we are thinking about, we have to think of tomorrow and the future generation. Remember, our populations are increasing. So not only sustainable, but increasing the quality of what comes in the future. If we don't increase both the quality and the quantity, then the future will starve. Right? So that's our responsibility now. Sustainable natural resources for the use or for the benefit of current generations or human generations for that matter, while maintaining the potential to meet the needs and aspirations of the future generations. But we always think of our food today, our daily bread. Do we think our future bread? That's wrong. Even that prayer should be revised. Right? Because we have to think of today as we plan and prepare for the aspirations of tomorrow. And tomorrow is always there. So the terms to note carefully in this big or wide conservation message, the terms to note carefully is conservation. Conservation is not protection. Conservation is not preservation. It is use, but use wisely, right? Use wisely. So if you don't have the wisdom, if not the knowledge to use it, ask some people who can help you to use it properly, to use it sustainably, so that even the future can benefit. Natural resources. Here on natural resources, we want to specifically think today of the indigenous natural resources. Indigenous. What does indigenous mean? Indigenous, you could call them traditional, you could call them cultural, could call them whatever, could call primeval, whatever sense you want. But this is what we want to talk about, indigenous. So when we talk indigenous, I'm glad our young ladies who were giving their poems here talked of junk food. Junk food is not indigenous. It's enforced on us with all its ill health problems, which people know, but they are giving it freely, and worst of all, to our very younger generations who may grow with their brains going vegetable. That is very bad indeed. Ways use, regulated use, sustainable use. Ways, yes. Regulated, yes. But this word sustainable. Sustainable. Sustainable is used many times, but we don't stop to think. What is sustainability? What is sustainable? Sustainable is a complex word. Once the resources are utilized one way or the other, whether the impact is big or small, they have been disturbed. Their ecological potentials have been disturbed. So you say sustainable use. No, they have lost something. They will not sustain themselves thereafter. Right? I want to mention forests, wetlands, grasslands, whatever, how we are using them or converting them into other agro-ecosystems, and we say they will sustain our crops we grow in there. Those are different ecosystems altogether. That's why we are trying to go agro-ecosystems, which have some semblance of coping what natural ecosystems have in terms of potential for productivity, potential for living on, and giving us more resources for the future. That's why we are tending to go in that direction. Benefits to current human and of course and animals. Resources are not for only human beings, they are for animals as well. But we also turn animals and resources for us. How greedy we are. Everything is for us. Everything is for us. Therefore, we must be wise and careful how to use everything, because we are sharing with all other organisms that don't make their own resources to sustain themselves. It's only plants, by the way, which have that capacity. Plants can live without animals, but animals can't, because they depend on plants. And therefore, we have to be careful how we utilize our plants for now and in the future. We have to meet the needs and aspirations of the future generations. So let's not be short-sighted. let's not be greedy, because we have the responsibility, and in any case, generations to come will also require resources, not only in quality type of resources, but in big quantities to satisfy the expanding human populations, the expanding animal populations, because the needs are greater in the future than what they are today. So that's our responsibility in this utilization of natural resources. The conservation message up there, it means therefore, or it implies that human resources use for natural resources is not for preservation, but for derivation of many types of uses and benefits from the natural resources for the long-term survival, and therefore long-term natural resource survival. We are utilizing the resource wisely so that we can live longer, stay longer without starving to death. But these resources themselves must also have long-term survival. In order to survive, we must tickle them in such a way that makes them more productive, get higher quality, and more abundant in the future. That's for the long-term survival. But if they are declining in their quality and their quantity, in their usefulness to animals, including ourselves, then that's not a responsibility of a wise man. This also means that natural resource use without depletion, degradation, or destruction, but improvement of the natural resources potential for generations and more productivity with time. That is our responsibility. Now let's turn to the important topic of indigenous seeds and foods. We are here for that kind of discussion. Indigenous seeds and foods. Have they been sustained? Do we still utilize them in a way that we need them? Our young ladies have given us the message of junk. Are we going junk because we have destroyed the indigenous quality foods, which made our earlier generations live longer? I was seated here with my brother Clovis. He showed me a young lady of 130 years. She died yesterday. And she's announced to some good friend of ours, the headmaster, who himself is over 100 years old. So there is something to do with food and longevity. Food and longevity, right? So this young lady says, you are very correct, your message is very good. Tell your colleagues out there not to pack it, not to buy it. Even parents not to pack it for your lunch, for your breakfast, whatever. Stop it. We are dying. We are killing ourselves when we are still young. Even me, I'm still young. Okay. All right. Yeah, I spent 22 years in Kibale Forest Reserve. Technology. So yeah, I'll talk through the microphone, but I thought my voice was heard because I'm a teacher. You know that? Yes, and who ate indigenous food more than junk food? Okay? So rural communities used to recognize and consume a wide range of variety of different traditional plant species. Indigenous seeds and foods are extracted from fields and even from wild ecosystems by the communities. These often include fruits, seeds, roots, bark, leaves, green vegetables, flowers, mushrooms, and also some animal proteins like meat, fish, insects, and honey. There are many I could mention. This is just mentioning a few, right? I'll let you know a little bit of what we know about these indigenous foods in the wild. These foods vary in their use, in their preferences among the rural communities, depending on the cultures, depending on the tribes, depending on seasonalities of occurrence, and the level of people affluence. Unfortunately, affluence and the quality of food are directly opposed to each other. Those who are affluent eat junk food. Those who are indigenous, living near indigenous foods, eat quality food. You can ask me a question on that. A study conducted in the parishes around Kivale National Park, for example, discovered that a total of 52 plant species belonging to 30 plant families were used as traditional, hopefully indigenous foods. These included some selected families and species as following. There is a family called Solinaceae. This had the highest number of useful species, and the species are eaten in different forms. I will elaborate a little more. Amaranthus, my first presenter here mentioned green leafy foods. Green leafy foods, indeed. That is the food. It's green, leafy, and plenty. In the abandoned fields, in the fallowing gardens, in the wild, anywhere you go, they are there. As long as you can be able to identify, that is the food. Whether cooked or not cooked, it is still the food, right? Laniaceae, that's Labiate. This we found just 4 species. Then Rosaceae also had 4 species, and Tiliaceae had 3 species. I'm sorry I can't change these families quickly into Rutoro because I will waste a lot of time. There's Fedaceae, there's Zingiberaceae. A lot of people know Zingiberaceae because they eat Amatehe, they eat Afromomam, they eat whatever. Those are your Zingiberaceaes. Sapotaceae, mainly these have a little bit of white sap and all that, and they are very good. Malvaceae, Rubiaceae, you know, Omwani. Omwani. We have wild, this is wild and indigenous. Who says coffee is not wild and indigenous in Uganda? Actually, Uganda is one of the countries, including Ethiopia, where we have wild coffee. Other countries don't have. Our coffee was stolen, taken somewhere I'm not going to mention. Then even there, they lost how to prepare it and grow it in number. They sent it to another tropical country in the south of some big country. They grow it in big numbers and amounts, and they are rich. But the country where we have the indigenous genes, we are still poor, wobbling in the mud and all that. And the coffee is still there. Fortunately, our people preserved it. Our people preserved it. I'm not going to tell you where it is, because you may run for it and destroy the whole thing, and we lose the genotypes. Vavinaceae is also there. Then plus, now these I have mentioned exhibited like 2 useful species each, and the last one, 20 species also, rather 20 families, had 1 useful food species each. What am I talking about here? So we have so many families of foods out there. A good number are already known, surveyed, researched, you know, but the majority we don't know. And that is our responsibility. I told you, you have your university here now, we have your young researchers, and you yourselves are researchers. More importantly, the mothers, the fathers, whatever, who till the land. You always see things there, but without knowing how they are useful, we destroy them. So let's be careful this time. Let's create a cadre of barefoot doctors. Anything you see that intrigues you, collect it. Send it to Kabaseke here. he will give it a name and give it its potential use as an indigenous something, something, something. The plant parts of these indigenous food species that were ranked also in terms of usefulness and preference also varied significantly. We have the fruits. The fruits. Fruits were frequently used and preferred. Actually, 42% of the species we know in a certain area it's their fruits which are most important. The other parts can be okay, but when you rank them according to the importance, our young lady told me vitamins, told me sugars, told me whatever starches. Yes, you rank according to the food value of these things. Fruits give us the best, 42%. Leaves of food plants ranked second, 30%. And young shoots were also preferred, 15%. The flowers of various species are eaten, and only 7%. So flowers are good foods as well, but considering the use of fruits and leaves is higher than flowers, don't run for flowers. Run for the fruits and leaves. The roots are going to add sap, going to add seeds, and the tubers. All these combined of the many families we sampled, these also made only 1.5%. So I want to excite you a little bit with some common edible indigenous plant species in Kibale National Park, but don't come there. Now it's a national park. A national park is inviolate of any human activity, especially extractive activities. Don't come. If it's a conservative something, maybe you ask the authorities to allow you to go do something. But if you are found there trespassing, a lot of things could happen. Now, Afromoma, I want to, for the sake of us all, to give it a name now, a local name, right? And give the family as well if you want. Afromoma is a known good food, especially Afromoma sanguineum or angustifolia. This is the amateri. Who doesn't know amateri? They are eaten mainly by kids, but if you knew the food value of amateri or the medicinal value of amateri, you can't just leave it a food for the children only, right? Even the old men should go there and start looking for it for some reason, all right? Then we have Amaranthus. We have many species here. We have Dubias, we have Brasilias, we have Habridas, we have Lividas. All these are dodos. For us, we know one dodo, not so. This is dodo, that is dodo. But there are many other types of species of dodo we can domesticate to increase our variety of dodos, the green leafy foods the young lady mentioned, so that we become healthier, richer, and live longer. Now, that is Amaranthus. We have Bacella alba, Derema. We have Kilium, Tinandra, Eyovio. Now, I leave the scientific name. Those are just for impressing you. But let's go now local. Since I'm talking indigenous, not so. But for the sake of my friends here, don't worry. When I take this thing, I got it from the secretary before she prepared it because it was late. For the whole week, I didn't see how far it had gone to be prepared, this speech of mine. But you will get the copy. It will be given to these people. Now, we have a Amateri, repeat, Dodo, Forte, Nderema, Eyobio, Omani, Yamusini, Bidodoima, Everale, Vorara, Obrara. Younger people, when they go grazing, they usually go to these things, they come scratching about that. It's Obrara. You know Obrara? Yes. Obrara is very good food. Actually, it's almost equal to cassava leaves. But they still want that cassava leaves, not ours, right? Eteke. This is touch me not. This is a plant that very gets the name, local name is a try. It's touch me not. When you touch it, rusts. Okay? So I call it touch me not. Ehova, Morondwa, Mutunda, Etutu, Amakere. Amakere also is extremely diverse. There's Rubus apetalus, Rubus nevis, Rubus pictus, and Rosifolius. All these are mackerel, but we don't want mackerel. But these are foods for children. When they are blazing, when they are breaking firewood, when they are going to fetch water and all that, these are the things they pick along the way going to the waters. Are they there now? The answer is yes or no. So Lenama Wipi, this is Tura. There's Kuchavara or something like that. Swiga and Mugove Iswa. Mugove Iswa, I don't know where the Mugove is very much. Then, there is the very rare indigenous foods. I can classify them as endangered. These are very rare but very important. These are mixed and not well known. Because there are many species, but for us we know one. There is Umgove, Vijna, and Numbu. What is a Numbu? Are there people older than me here? Maybe old mothers and fathers in the village. The Numbu. Where is the Numbu? Where is the Maitanero? Where is the Polibo? Where is the Scoria? Amazoni, these are clavers. Not so? Where is the Mseke? Mseke we don't eat it here. That's Maleva for the other guys. But very important, extremely nutritious. Obtuzi, yes, all right. But we know a few obtuzis. Obtuzi, Eptemi, Eptosa. Where is Enswa? Where is Enteke? Animals, Emisu, Etajubuta, Etahi, Etachumba, and Italia, the rest of it. So actually I had left space here for Dr. Clovis to add so that we give you a full dose of these things which are missing. I give you a full dose. Now, harvesting and preservation. I mentioned these because they are very important in our indigenous foods, whether be they seeds, be they vegetables, whatever. Remember, the harvesting of most indigenous or traditional food resources was seasonal. For example, mushrooms such as Podobrella microcarpa, that one you know very well, obtaitu, which appears at the beginning of the rainy season. Some food species occur in the dry season, wet season, or even all year round species like lantana, physalis, and rubus. So, most fruits and mushrooms and honey are collected once a year. The need for preservation of the indigenous food or traditional foods was largely determined by the type and quantity collected, whether perishable or not. As the demands mostly exceeded supply, the need for preservation was limited. However, some excess foods are often preserved indigenously, traditionally, culturally, by either sun-drying, smoking, or burial in the ash. Some people get surprised today if you don't have a refrigerator. Okay. If you don't have a refrigerator, they put these things in the ash. You put in the ash, dry ash, cover it up, and leave it there, especially tomatoes. They can last for 2-3 months. In there, that was our way of indigenous food preservation, or packing in bottles, calabashes, and plastics. Honey is bottled. Coffee is cooked and dried and tied in dry banana kind of sheath. The leaves of pigment and we platter, solenum, whatever, maybe these are steamed over food. They are dried, they are powdered, and then put either in pots or bottles these days, or plastic containers, so that it can be used for the next season. Now, different cultures, traditional tribes worldwide respect, value, and use natural indigenous resources in a variety of ways. In most rural settings, the level of indigenous natural resource use and dependence is often directly related to procurement of the energy, food insecurity, poverty, availability of alternative sources of livelihoods, the level of family income, and the level of education of some people. Now the question is, why should I emphasize the rural setting to discuss this important topic of indigenous foods? Perhaps the answer lies in the following. Rural communities still own the indigenous knowledge of the natural resources. The rural communities live proximate to most centers of concentration of natural resources called protected areas, game reserves, and natural forests. They feel attached. Indigenous people, rural people feel attached and dependent on traditional, cultural, and indigenous natural resources more than urban populations. And finally, they know the science and art of indigenous plants and the seed seasonality, husbandry, collection, identification, preparation, storage, and the diversity of uses. In total, we can call that ethnobotany. Some indigenous foods in Toro. So I'm not going to elaborate on how they are prepared to give a nice food, but I'll just mention the green leafy vegetables. Very many. I'll mention dodo, inderema, inswiga, nyamutundu, ubrara, eyobio, enyakaseja, umgoviswa, umgove, etc. Flowers. The flowers are not diverse as foods, but they are very tasty. These include species of nyamsiri, hibiscus cannabis or eteke, and other, which are eaten fresh or dried and powdered. Then the fruits and the seeds, these are very many. The list is long. I won't dare. I will leave it, otherwise my time will run out. Then yams and roots. Yams and roots. Wild yams, for example, the scoria species, are often searched for and collected from the wild forests or abandoned areas or grasslands, whatever. The tubers are harvested when attached to aerial roots. You harvest a few, put those attached to the aerial root shoot back in the ground to help regeneration. The roots of Mondia Waitai, that one you know it very well, from Rwenzori. I picked this one amongst the roots to show its importance and variety of uses indigenously. Then the mushrooms also, very many in types or species for that matter, and how they are prepared. We have some old people here. They can tell us after this meeting is over. They are common ones and also they are rare ones. Mushrooms are not easy to identify, and this is a kind of warning. Not easy to identify or classify. Don't just pick anything called mushroom, right? They could kill you. But the old people know, since they have the science and art of identification and preservation as well, they can do it for you. The usefulness and the tragedy of indigenous food plants. The usefulness and tragedy. You'll give me an extra 1 minute. The usefulness and the tragedy of the indigenous food plants. Very important, quite diverse, but what is happening? The leaves, seeds, fruits, root tubers, and fungal traditional foods were a major supply of nutrients, including what our younger ladies were saying, starches, sugars, calciums, iron, ascorbic acids, folic acids, and a variety of proteins and vitamins. Vitamin A, for example, is very important in diets, especially diets low in milk, and that's where we are. We don't have much milk here. Our consumption of milk is so low, we can't say we have milk. No. If we have milk, it's just water, something called milk. Right? So this is common in developing countries where the meats are rare or very expensive. Its deficiency, the deficiency of these foods I mentioned up there, leads to blindness. Immediately, the young ladies told us, leads to blindness. And we have even the number, about 80,000 children worldwide each year become blind because they are lacking in those foods. The biggest tragedy thus far is the scarcity and the dwindling of the stated food types and more whole families and species from our agricultural systems. A few important indigenous species that had been domesticated in the past have since become very rare or completely disappeared from our diets. Those still under some kind of traditional husbandry are limping on, with the majority of their relatives still thriving in the wild, right? Why scarcity and the depletion or disappearance of these indigenous food species? I won't give the details, but I will simply mention the biggest problems. One, the unregulated human population growth. Unregulated human, actually we can relate most of our problems even leading to poverty to unregulated human population growth, right? People need food. People need space. People need to look a little bit like the modern man. But where do they get the resources?